Hi, my name's Laura Batante. This is My Two Bits. Today I have this really adorable little snail craft for you. He's all made of paper and he's super wild and crazy, so I think he's a lot of fun. Materials that you're going to need for this project. Scissors. If you're allowed to use an X-Acto knife, you could use an X-Acto knife. A ruler. Some felt pens in the colors that you like, or you could use pencil crayon. A black pen, a pencil, some paper clips, and then a cardstock that matches one of your felt pen colors, and then a sheet of white cardstock, and the template, which you can download right there in the notes of this video. Alright, so when you get your template, you'll see that it has these two strips for the shell. These are 1 1/4 inches or 3.2 centimeters. I recommend that instead of trying to cut these out and then cut out strips, that you take your cardstock and with your ruler measure some new lines, so with the exact same measurements. And I've come over a 1/2 inch here, or a centimeter and a bit, on just to give myself a little runoff room, so that when I go to use my felt pen and I decide what pattern I want, I can take my color right up past the edge, and that way I'm going to get a really good design when I cut it. So that's what we're going to do next. We're going to leave it like this with the guidelines, and then we're going to color. We're going to color this side with one pattern. This one has a little plaid on it. And then on the other side, we're going to flip it over. We're going to color all down here. And you can give yourself a guideline again if you need it. Or you could just cut, giving yourself again a little bit of room, cut this chunk off and then flip it over and color. That way you know exactly where you're supposed to color. So we're going to do 2 patterns, one on one side and one on the other. So as you can see, I went over my edge here. I flipped it over and I did my pattern on this side. And now, either with your scissors, or if you're allowed to use an X-Acto knife, you can use your X-Acto knife. It just makes it a little bit faster. Cut away. And you'll notice I'm using a metal ruler. That's so that my blade can't go up and cut into the like a plastic ruler you can actually cut with your X-Acto knife. And this one also has cork on the back, which keeps it raised up a little and makes it just a little bit safer to work with. So if you plan to use an X-Acto knife, you should get yourself a cutting board like this, which is a self-healing mat board, and a metal ruler. All right, so there you go. You can see we have 2 strips. And then you're going to decide which you would like to be the outside of your shell. And we are going to, oh, I did not mention, I always do that, don't I? I always miss telling you one of the materials we need. You need some glue. Glue stick works great. And we're just going to overlap that 1/2 inch or 1.5 centimeters or so. I mean, it doesn't have to be exact, so you can see right there what I've done. Oops, look what I did. I didn't match up my pattern. I don't think anyone would notice, but I want my pattern to be kind of matched up. So, and if you have done a very specific pattern, you'll want to do that. Be aware of that, okay? All right, so we're gonna let that dry for a second. And if you need to, you can always go and use the paper clips here and hold that in place while it dries. All right, and what we can do right now while we're waiting is we can cut out the body. So for that, we're going to go back to our pattern and cut this piece out and cut this out. And then we might as well cut this out too. These are the inside of the eye. So we'll cut that out in white. And this will be in whatever color you've chosen for your body. So let's go ahead and do that. As always, I like to trim around my template so that it's easier to work with, and also cut away my cardstock so that it's smaller. It makes it easier to handle, and you won't have the weight of the whole thing sort of flopping down on you, so you have more control that way. So we're cutting curves. We are turning the paper as we cut to get a nice smooth curve. And then when you get to something that's a little bit straighter, you can go a full cut, pointing the tip of your scissors where you want to go. All right, so we have all of our pieces done, and now we are going to make the face on our little guy. And so we're just gonna roll it around a bit and find a size. I bet you that this is, you know, you want to be able to fit a few fingers in. I'll give you an approximate size on that. That works out to about a 1 1/4. So that's sort of the size we're looking for, because he's going to go down like that and his shell has to fit on. And I give it a little bit of a squeeze so you can see what he looks like there. So we're going to put a little glue on there, and then we'll roll that back up, find the size we like, make sure it's nicely lined up, and then we will put on a paper clip to hold it for a bit. And while this one is now drying, we can do our eyes. So we have our piece here, and then we're just going to glue these on. And if they aren't perfect, don't worry about it, because honestly, they're not supposed to be perfect. This is a very goofy snail. He doesn't have to look all just so. It gives him a little character if things are a little bit wonky. So there you go. You can see that I made his eyes on the actual template, 2 different sizes. So there we go. And if you want to, you could go ahead right now and you could take your black pen and you can draw in his eyeball, his pupil. There we go. He looks kind of surprised. So we're going to put that aside. And now we're going to work on the shell. So hopefully that's nice and dry. And you're going to decide which piece, which side you want on the inside. I'm going to keep the little plaid print on the outside. And I'm going to find something to roll around. So I'm going to use my pen, or I could use my felt pen that I used earlier. And just, I want it a little tighter in the middle, and then as we go out, we're going to be looser. So we're just trying to get the paper to understand that it needs to curl at this point. So we're just kind of breaking the fibers in the paper a little bit. And then we're going to let that all loosen off again. There we go. That worked out pretty good, and I'm probably going to be able to glue that like so, and then that's not bad. If yours didn't get a really nice curve, you just do it again. The paper is so easy to manipulate, so just roll it up again, and if you want it tighter in the middle, focus on just that. You can just redo the middle part, and you don't have to worry about the other stuff. So you just take that, go again, and if you want it nice and tight, you just roll it nice and tight and then let go. And there you go. And so we're going to put some glue on here, and then we're going to put a paper clip on there and just hold that in place. Right. Thank goodness for paper clips. So there we go. And then eventually we'll get that attached like so. Okay, we're going to let all of that dry for a jiff. All right, well, I didn't let this dry very long, but I'm going to give it a go. And so what I want to do is glue the bottom down, leaving myself, I'm just going to show you sideways here. I'm going to glue the bottom down, and then what I want to do is be able to sort of push the head down a little bit and glue it on. That gives us a bigger flat surface here so that he'll stand well. So, but the first thing I'm going to do is glue the bottom. So make sure it's a good position for you, and then we're going to put the glue right where we had it sitting. And of course, when you're using a glue stick, you have a little bit of time to play around, so don't panic if you can't hold your spot and then go back. It's okay. So we put the glue on, and then if we look at his head, we can sort of push it down, and that way we get a nice flat surface right there for him to sit. Put that on. You can put on a paper clip if you'd like. And then when we go to do this side, we're going to glue these on, and then once we get those glued on, we're going to place it. So a little glue on the eyes. And then glue on everything back here, so the back of his head and the back of the eyes all gets a little bit of glue. Load it up. Bend it, and then guess what? We're going to put a paper clip there too. All right. Do that. Gives it a chance to dry, and he's all done. So there we are. 2 cute little wildly colored snails, perfect for spring. I hope you enjoyed this craft. If you did, please consider giving me a like and also subscribing to my channel. Thanks very much for watching.